It's time now for Trends at 12-ish, where we get it's our super calculated, invigorated paper review. It's not about papers, local story, social media story, and something that's close to my guest. Although what we've had recently is the guests come on, and sometimes we don't even talk about anything they've put on there. We just have a chat. Junaid, it is your turn. Junaid Ali works for the Hope for Humanity Food Bank in East London. Good day to you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Eddie, for inviting me to the BBC Radio.
Yeah, well, it's because we like you. So thank you for accepting our invitation. How old are your children?
My child is around approximately 6 years old.
6. Oh, right. So no, you tell your child everything that they wear. Yeah, you've not got to the stage where the child has any choice about what they wear.
Yeah, definitely. This is the age of the growing age of the child.
Oh, yeah. No. Funny enough, at 6, my children were picking their own clothes because I tried to give them a choice. Even if the colours didn't match, they didn't match any worse than they would have if Daddy picked them. So it didn't really matter. Your first story, your local story, I note is inflation.
Yes. It is. Inflation, and this is not the local story. We are running a food bank as Hope for Humanity in the Newham. And that inflation has gone so high that, according to the current report, the chief of the Marks and Spencer said that the inflation can reach to the 10% during this year, while it was 5.9% according to the honest report in March. And surprisingly, is a steep hike in a 9.1% within a month. And the day-to-day living has become so hard for the people that the prices on the stores are day by day increasing a lot. And this has become a number of increase of the service users approaching to the local food banks, because when we discuss with them, they say it is going beyond their hand to afford both a need to their lives.
I know that Newham is one of the most challenged boroughs in London. If it does go up the way it seems as though it's going up, and all indications are that it will. Can the food banks there, can all the aid groups there, can they help pick up the slack? Do you think?
Yeah, maybe, but at the end of at what currently we are facing and seeing over here, that the families are approaching to the food banks and they are facing troubles to meet the cost of their daily livings. And I think so in this way, the government should for these the residents of the United Kingdom, especially the poorest borough, with this household support funds, which are definitely needed for this for the families to survive, because what we can see here on the food banks, and I heard the stories from the families, they can't pay the rents of the houses, they can't pay the bills of they're behind in the bills, they can't buy the clothes for their children, they're struggling, and the food banks have a capacity to support, a limited capacity to support them in their daily needs.
Well, I'm hoping that much of what has been talked about by the Bank of England and what you're alluding to there, I can only hope it doesn't happen. But I certainly know that food banks like yours do an absolutely necessary and magnificent job. Your social media story, please, Junaid.
Yeah, social media, I always think that there are a lot of depression going on in the mental health being, and this is the core factor of, I think, for each borough, which they should give a consideration, like the people should be engaged, especially during the COVID-19, especially the women were housebound, they are mentally affected, and their health is affected. They need a support. We should have the talking cafes that we are running as well at Hope for Humanity, a telephonic chat where we can engage them, listen to their issues, then help them to signpost what we are doing as well, to signpost into the local council where they can get a relevant support.
So in your part of town, right? So just let me jump in. In your part of town, they used to have Under the Stars. They used to have the Mayor's Day. And we had a caller the other day, somebody saying that they're taking that away. Your part of town used to do brilliantly. Did those sorts of things help with the mental health that you're talking about?
It does, but it was before COVID-19. But after the COVID-19, we haven't heard such type of programs yet or been announced by the local councils. Though on a local VCFS organization, we are trying to do some bit small things to arrange a small parties or sit together for these families and children where they can come out and they can sit down and discuss and do some activities for them. But the local council now need to inject some money in. They need to come out with the programs where these residents can be engaged and can their mental health should be looked after for that.
Yeah, I mean, their argument would be the budgets have been cut and they're having to really prioritise. But that is a challenge, isn't it? And it will be coming from the local election, something that will be interesting to observe. And your third, there's a theme emerging here, I must say, Junaid. Your third one, the one that's close to your heart.
The most close to my heart is inadequate housing. Inadequate housing, the renting of the housing, especially in London, in my borough where I am living at the moment, is going beyond the hand. I mean, how can a three-bedroom house be afforded by someone in £2,000? I mean, this is not an average pay of any person who is working full time. So then the social housing list has gone. It's got a long list of over 30,000 people in a queue. And though the local mayor has is a pledge to build 1,000 houses, which was the last pledge anyway a few years ago, in 4 years, but that's still not enough. That when over 30,000 people are in a queue for the social services, at 30,000, how many years? It will take more than 10 years even to do that. So there should be some rent control over it, where the residents could afford to pay the rent. So when inflation is there, housing cost is on top, all these things are affecting them, and these are linked to the mental health as well.
Or the unthinkable question, I'm really sorry to put this one to you, like lots of people think, many people might have to move out of London. Is that a ridiculous idea?
Well, for some people it could be a ridiculous idea because especially it depends on the area people living in the locality, because the Newham borough is a heavily damned community living there, and they're interconnected with each other from living from years and years, and definitely to disconnect them from the local community will not be a good idea.
But something's going to happen, isn't it?
Yes, that could be an option over there, but still there should be some support from the local council to come down with the idea to have a pilot project of that, to sit with the residents, to engage them, and then to discuss on this topic. But it cannot be
all the things that you've put on this list suggest to me a kind of social care type, arm around, look after community. And it seems to me that we may well be moving away from that, Junaid, and not toward it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is going away, but that's what I'm saying, that core heart should be to move towards the social care, towards the community. Unless you engage the community, with the local council, a lot of solutions cannot be found, and there will be more problems raising there. There is a gap between the local councils and the local community. That's what the community feels it. So we should have the policies interconnected with the local communities, and there will be lots of solutions will come out to resolve many issues which the residents are currently facing.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. And just finally, how I mean, in terms of your food bank, what are you seeing? Are there indicators as to how things are? What are things like?
The indicator at the moment means the most important right now. Every person who's coming on a food bank is discussing these things like inflation. They can't meet the cost. That's the main problem for them. And then the bills, during this time, the bills has gone high. That has been increased. There is a national support for the House of Sport Fund, but that is literally nothing, like £100 or £200. That's not help them to pay their bills. That's only for one time. There should be a significant support from the national government during this hard time after the COVID. And unfortunately, the Ukraine war has affected as well. But in this condition, there should be a significant support by the national government to its citizens.
Yeah, it's interesting, Junaid, and we'll talk again. Thank you for what you do. As I said, I have a personal interest in food banks.